Hey guys, how's it going? This is Billy Eat World, and today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're actually going to be talking about War Thunder for the PlayStation 4, and I'm going to be giving you my first impressions of the game. Now the reason why we're taking a look at this game and we're not covering any Battlefield 4 footage is because I haven't actually been playing a lot of Battlefield 4 over the last couple of weeks. And the reason that is because Sony still hasn't got rid of the HDCP encryption that's on the HDMI output of the PlayStation 4. Now, as you guys know, my Battlefield 4 videos are pretty heavily edited and I don't generally do live commentaries like some other YouTubers do. So what this means is I actually have to capture quite a lot of footage for each video. And basically at the moment, the only way that I'm actually able to capture footage with the PlayStation 4 is by using the share function, which is limited in that you can only capture 15 minutes at one time, and also that you have to upload your footage and then download it again to actually edit it. Unfortunately, this process is just far too time consuming for the amount of content that I need for my Battlefield 4 videos. But don't worry, I've ordered a few things that should bypass the HDCP encryption, and I should be back to producing my regular Battlefield 4 content this week sometime. But anyway, in the meantime, let's take a look at War Thunder. So War Thunder is a free-to-play flight simulator for the PlayStation 4. It's also available on the PC, and from what I can tell, it's pretty much the same game. There are a few differences, but we'll get to them in just a tick. Now, as I said before, this video is really only a first impressions video of the game, so don't expect too much detail, and I'm sorry if I leave anything out. I've been playing this game for about a week now, and I'm still really not that good at the game, but I am getting better and I'm learning how to play it. And I've got to say, there is a lot of content in this game, so it does take a lot of learning. So just to run you through the core features of this game, first and foremost, it's an arcade-style online multiplayer flight simulator. It's based in the 40s and 50s, and has battles and aircraft from World War II and the Korean War. It does have single-player missions and a campaign that you can play, and realistic and historical modes are available, but you can tell that the game's been designed around the arcade-style multiplayer battles. It's different from a lot of combat flight simulators in that it actually has a leveling up system, and like multiplayer FPS games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, as you level up you gain access to different unlocks, which in War Thunder is actually different planes and upgrades for those planes. There are 5 playable countries, including the USA, Japan, Germany, Russia and Britain, and each country has a wide assortment of different planes which fall into one of 3 different categories. You can choose to play with fighter aircraft, with attack aircraft and with bombers, and each one has a different role on the battlefield and requires a different playstyle. In the arcade portion of War Thunder, servers can handle up to 32 players, which means that the maps are huge and that squad and team tactics are very important. Each battle has a series of different objectives that you have to complete to win the round, which can range from destroying bases to destroying ground forces and even taking down the enemy team's aircraft. So now that you understand a little bit more about how the game works, let's talk about what I actually think about the game. Well, to start with the positives first, the game does have a lot of good qualities that'll make you want to keep playing for hours on end. Like I explained before, the wide range of different aircraft and upgrades available is a great aspect to this game. And even though the game isn't a true flight simulator, the planes do a good job of responding how they would in real life. They've really taken a lot of time to make sure that the flight characteristics are consistent with the actual aircraft in real life. I mean, for example, a Spitfire should have a really great turning circle, and a P-40 Warhawk should be able to take more damage than most other fighter aircraft. I'm sure that many hardcore flight simulator fans would be able to tell the difference between this game and other flight simulators, but I think they've done a pretty good job of trying to balance the flight mechanics. And while it is easy to jump in and fly pretty much any aircraft, each aircraft does fly differently. As well as unlocking planes and upgrades, you can actually also upgrade your pilot, your gunner and your ground crew. You can also customise your plane with different paint jobs and decals, and while this isn't a deal breaker for me, it's a neat little feature. The graphics in-game are good considering the scope of the game, but it's certainly not the best looking game on the console so far. Where I think the game really shines in terms of graphics is the design of the landscape. A lot of flight simulators tend to ignore the ground, and as you get closer to the ground the graphics aren't so great. But I think War Thunder does a pretty good job of accurately representing the landscape. The map design is pretty good too. Some maps can range from really open battles with almost no cover at all, to maps with lots of mountains and lots of cloud cover. Once you learn to incorporate the landscape into your tactics, the game starts to feel a whole lot more authentic and a lot more enjoyable. Unfortunately, War Thunder isn't without its faults though. Some of the aspects I didn't like so much about War Thunder include the fact that, being that it's a free-to-play game, like many other free-to-play games, there's in-app purchases that you can use to advance more quickly. This sucks for a number of reasons. Leveling up is very slow, and I feel like this is almost done on purpose. If you're actually not using real money to advance your progress, you can expect to be using the same old aircraft battle after battle. Also, the first aircraft for every country aren't that great, and honestly it's just downright frustrating at first to try and take out enemy aircraft. As you unlock different aircraft, it does get easier, but honestly I've been playing for a week now and I still feel frustrated when I'm trying to take out different aircraft, because I feel like my planes just aren't doing enough damage. Another really annoying aspect of this game is that for the PS4 version they've taken out a lot of the control customization that was part of the PC version. PC users have actually reported that there's quite a lot of joystick wobble, and fortunately for them there's actually quite a few controls to help you curb this wobble. But this isn't the case with the PlayStation 4 version, and you'll find with the more manoeuvrable aircraft it almost gets unbearable. I mean, in most flight simulators a manoeuvrable aircraft is an advantage, but in War Thunder on the PlayStation 4 the fact that you can't reduce this joystick sensitivity to a level that would stop this wobble means that landing hits, especially on enemy fighters, is quite difficult. You do start to get used to it after you've played for some time, but after watching quite a lot of PC footage, it just makes me wonder how they got this so wrong. As well as the traditional flight simulator mode, the game does allow you to control your aircraft with a more simplified mode, or with a mouse and keyboard setup which is basically just using the touchpad to aim, but neither of these seems more effective than using the traditional joystick model, so at least for the time being we're sort of stuck with a pretty average control setup. Another thing that frustrates me and a lot of other players is the fact that team killing is unable to be turned off, and this happens quite a lot. When you're chasing down an enemy aircraft, more often than not one of your teammates will join in and try and chase down the same aircraft. And I can't tell you how many times I've been shot by one of my own teammates, or one of my own teammates has run into me. And coupled with the fact that it's really hard to take down aircraft as it is, it sucks when you've been chasing down an aircraft for a minute or two and someone runs into you. If they were able to turn this off in a future update, I'm sure that a lot of players would be very grateful. Targeting in War Thunder is also a bit of an issue. Most flight simulators have a pretty good targeting system, but as far as I can tell, in War Thunder all you can really do is lock onto a target that's in front of you and track them with the left trigger. You aren't able to switch to the next target or select the closest enemy like you can in other flight simulators. And another thing that I should probably mention is the fact that the game is actually a little bit glitchy. You can actually repair your plane by landing on a friendly airstrip, but every time I've tried to do this I find that my plane starts to clip through the ground, and sometimes it repairs you and you are able to take off again, but it kind of makes you not want to take the risk. So bearing all this in mind, is War Thunder worth the $0 that you have to pay for it in the PlayStation Store? Well, yes it is, and the good news is that you can actually play this game without spending any money at all. It is a bit of a grind and it is pretty hard to unlock the first few aircraft, but once you get past this and once you start getting a few kills, you'll start to really enjoy yourself. So do yourself a favour if you're a PlayStation 4 owner and go and grab War Thunder today, because you really don't have any excuse not to if you're a fan of the flight simulator genre. It doesn't really have the polish and the sheen of a AAA title, but it's a game with a pretty huge scope, and for that alone it's worth the try. So anyway guys, that's it. As always, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. And if you have any thoughts or opinions on War Thunder, please let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video and you'd like to see more War Thunder footage, please let me know that as well, and I'll see what I can do. But until next time guys, see you later and have a good one.